Okay, Georgia wraps up a 45-6 win over Appalachian State, a game that was pretty ugly in the first quarter and second quarter for sure. Georgia only with a 14-6 lead going into the half. Uh, didn't play great at the beginning of the game. I think Appalachian State held the ball a lot of the time, and then Georgia came out and did what they needed to do, which was scored, I think, 31 unanswered points, something like that, and I got a good win. The first half was not good. The second half they played pretty well. Hard to argue with a 45-6 win over anybody, but there were a lot of encouraging things out there on Saturday. I think the big thing was you got a chance to see guys like Hudson Mason play, and Jonathan Rump finally came out of his shell a little bit. But maybe what kind of goes unnoticed at times is that the rush defense for Georgia allowed 1 yard to carry. And coming into this weekend's game with Auburn, the Tigers can really run the ball. I think they only threw it 7 times against Tennessee in their blowout win over the Vols this past weekend in Knoxville. So that'll be a big test for Georgia. And, obviously Auburn, it'll be a big test for Auburn too, because I believe Georgia's top 3 or 4 in terms of rushing defense in the SEC right now. And Aaron Murray broke the record for how many touchdowns in a career for the SEC, which is really great for him. Aaron has had a great career at Georgia. Not a good career, a great career. He's going to go down as most guys are not 4-year starters, just period, at a school in the SEC. Nevertheless, at a place as good as Georgia. But the Bulldogs will have to come ready to play against Auburn. I mean, they can't. It's kind of being half asleep at the beginning of the game is not going to work this coming Saturday. Auburn's coming into the game rushing for 320 yards a game. They're averaging almost not quite 7 yards a carry. Georgia's given up 126, which is fourth best in the conference. You got really 4 pretty good teams against the run: Alabama, Florida, Missouri, and Georgia. And those 4 are kind of the better ones in the conference. Tennessee's pretty rough, 225 yards they're giving up. So Auburn really exploited the Vols. It'll be interesting to see. I mean, Auburn looks like they're probably on the way to the Sugar Bowl, even if they lose to Alabama. We'll see how that goes. But this has been a good year for Auburn. They played 10 games already. They only lost 1 to LSU, a decisive loss, but a loss nonetheless. And and they're putting up a bunch of points too. I mean, Auburn's almost scoring 40 points a game, and they really turned it on. So this will probably be a score fest on Saturday. But the win over Appalachian State was a good one for Georgia. It was finally the blowout that they played around a little bit. It was finally the blowout they needed to have happen. Todd Gurley didn't really go very much. He only went for 75 yards, 13 carries, 75 yards. I would expect Todd Gurley to get a lot of carries Saturday. And, Georgia can definitely win the game against Auburn, but they're going to need to play 4 good quarters in a row, and they can't have any sort of miscues at all. They had 3 fumbles on Saturday. They lost 1 of them. You can't have that. They had, I think it was 2 interceptions. That's not going to work. But, the other thing about Auburn that's kind of questionable for them is if you can slow them down a little bit running the ball, you got a pretty good shot because they can't throw it. And Georgia can't defend the pass, but boy, Auburn struggles throwing the ball. But maybe that's because they don't have to. I mean, I don't know. 173 yards Auburn's averaging right now throwing. And one of the lower, not the lowest, but one of the lower completion percentages. But it's not anything crazy. But Auburn's going to run the ball. That's what they do. And if Georgia can stack the box and slow them down, they'll be in good shape. But they're going to have to score some points. They're going to need some turnovers, and they're going to have to throw on Auburn too. I mean, Auburn defensively is 5 spots lower than Georgia in terms of total yardage. I mean, they're giving up almost 400 yards a game. and that's not great. So this should be a shootout. We'll see. But Georgia may match up pretty well with Auburn. A lot better than people think. So we'll see how it goes. Georgia's had Auburn's number of late. They're playing one of their former teammates in Nick Marshall, and Auburn very well could be looking forward to that Alabama game. And I think that's something that the Tigers need to kind of get out of their head. They control their own destiny. They can still win the national championship. Now I know that's a long way off, but they can still do that. And Georgia can't. So it's just one of those. It's one of those games where if Georgia can win this, they will have won 3 top 10 matchups, and they hadn't done that in a long time in one season. So they still got a long way to go. And Georgia's not out of it in the East, but Missouri's looking like they're not going to lose. At least not enough for Georgia to get into the conference championship game. So Georgia with a 45-6 win over Appalachian State. Slow, but then a pure bloodbath at the end. Auburn and Georgia next week on the Plains.